Welcome back to Better Living. I'm here with Randy Dixon. He's the president of the Toledo Bar Association. He's been here a couple times to talk about what they do for us, some of the different events and services that they provide for us. You were just saying you're in one of those buildings downtown. You guys enjoy the downtown life, don't you?
That's right, yeah. 311 North Superior's where you'll find the Toledo Bar, three-story building. We find it to be very convenient,
yes,
and we welcome more people coming downtown.
That's right. Bring on the neighbors.
That's
you would
right.
like that, yes. Which means more restaurants and places for you to go out at lunchtime and choose from.
That's right.
That's a good thing. Let's talk about, you came here today. One thing that the Toledo Bar Association does for us is you kind of police yourselves, for lack of a better term, because just like in any industry, sometimes people do things wrong, and that's where that role comes in.
That's right, that's right. And actually it's the Ohio Supreme Court that ultimately polices, yes, but we do the investigations, we field the grievances from clients, consumers of legal services, and we have a set process. If somebody has a complaint against an attorney in the Toledo or Northwestern Ohio area, we assign an investigator and look into it, find out if there have been ethical violations, and if there have, then we prosecute that attorney all the way up to the Supreme Court, and sanctions could be enforced against that attorney.
Well, you said ethical violations. That was going to be my next question. Does it, if somebody's representing me and I feel like they've done something, but I don't think it's criminal, it just was perhaps morally or ethically wrong, that's okay for me to go ahead and file that complaint?
That's exactly right, yes. Attorneys have special rules that they have to follow, ethical rules. And that's really what we enforce. We don't prosecute criminal cases. In fact, if there's a criminal case, we usually let the prosecutor finish their job, and then, if they're found guilty, obviously that's going to be something where somebody's going to be sanctioned. But we field probably 150 to 200 complaints against attorneys annually. They can start, if somebody has a problem with an attorney, they can start right online. We have a grievance form that they can fill out. And then it's actually attorneys and normal people, not attorneys, lay people, that would hear the case right here in Toledo.
You just set me up to say, what, attorneys aren't normal people? I can't leave that one alone. But how would I know if it's something that's not ethical? Give me some examples, perhaps some generic examples, because what I think is moral or unethical may not be what you think is immoral or unethical.
Usually when it gets to the end point at the Supreme Court, it's usually having something to do with money. Somebody either they've been convicted of a crime or they haven't taken care of other people's money in the proper manner. But of those 150 cases we get in a year, of the grievance or the complaint, it's usually more mundane. People aren't communicating, the attorneys aren't communicating with their clients, or attending to the cases. That's usually it. The real prosecutions are where somebody has not necessarily stolen, but they can't account for the money. We have certain rules. Attorneys have certain rules on keeping client funds separate. We have to have separate accounts, and if somebody is not either keeping those money separate or can't properly account for them, they get into some pretty serious trouble.
I would guess that there are some complaints that you see that are just people upset because perhaps their court case did not come out the way they had hoped it would. Is it okay for people to go ahead and file that complaint, even if it is just maybe it's just a little bit of bad blood? It's okay for me to go ahead and file it, because if it's unwarranted, you're going to take care of it then.
There'll be an investigation, and most of those investigations don't rise to the level of a prosecution. A lot of times it's a complaint about a fee, and actually we have a whole separate committee where consumers of legal services can get a free fee arbitration to determine if there has been some shenanigans or some problem with the way the attorney has been charging.
Is that something that you have to know in the beginning, how much things are going to cost? Is there a layout of fees that has to be done from the start?
It certainly is a best practice. In some cases, it has to be in writing. And what attorneys are taught is that you got to get in writing. And I'll tell you, consumers of legal services, that's probably the most important thing, is get it in writing at the beginning. Many of our fee grievances could have been resolved had it been properly documented how the attorney fees are going to be charged and paid. That's
probably best practice for both ends, both for the consumer and the attorney, just so there's no questions at the end.
Always a best practice, get in writing.
Yes. Well, if somebody is interested in your help, whether it's because they feel like they have a grievance against an attorney or they need help with some of the other things that we've talked about, what's the best way to get a hold of the Toledo Bar Association?
Well, the Toledo Bar has a very good and accessible website, and that grievance form is actually right on that website. But all the panoply of other things that we've talked about in the past are also all listed there. So the TBA website is where to start.
All right. Well, if you need the help of the Toledo Bar Association, just head to their website. They're here working for us in Toledo. We'll be right back on Better Living.